People who can get famous really fast. I mean, social media is interesting in that way, right? You can gain notoriety, but there's a lot of people who gain notoriety and then we find out in months or years that they have nothing to offer, or they are, a wolf in sheep's clothing. And so you're competing against that. I meet people all the time that go, "You're a life coach?" I'm like, well, no, I'm a leadership coach and a business coach, but people's real lives come into coaching. So they're like, "So you're a life coach?" I'm like, "I'm not a life coach." Like, no, that is a different kind of coaching. Like, that's not what we're doing here.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets Podcast. I'm Kevin, and today we're joined by Catie Campbell. She's been a coach for 11 plus years, former swim coach since she was 13. Welcome to the show, Catie.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm so glad to be hanging out with you today.
Dude, we're having a blast pre-podcast, so I'm so excited to just talk to you today. One of the first things that's on my mind is like the origin story. Let's start at the beginning, the lore, right? You could have been a sushi chef, you could have been a professional video gamer, but out of all the careers you chose, coaching. And so I'm kind of curious, what made you want to become a coach and turn it into a business? Would love to hear the story.
Kevin. Okay. So the origin story really does start when I'm 4 years old. Is in preschool. We were a single income family. My dad was on the road, not a ton of money, like things are tight. And I keep getting invited to all the birthday parties of all the kids in my class. And we came up in a family where you got presents at Christmas and on your birthday, but like, that's it, right? There's not a ton of money. And so my mom kept having to go to the store and get birthday presents for all these kids. And at some point she lamented to one of the other parents, like, it's party after party after party. And they said, well, you know why we invite Catie to all the parties? And she's like, no. They said, she can get all the other kids to play the games. And that was it, is if I learn something, I'm going to help bring you along. I'm going to teach it to you. Like, it's not important for me to be the smartest person in the room. I want us to be the smartest people in the room. And so I think I've been doing this all along since I was a little kid. I could learn something. I'm going to teach you to do it. Now we're all getting to do it. And so fast forward to about 3 years ago, a little bit more than that, I just made the choice of, I want to do this all the time. I want to help as many leaders as possible. I want to coach as many people as possible. And I want to help them just win in their business, be profitable, be better leaders, etc. And so, yeah, I think I've been doing this since I was 4 in some way, shape, or form. And I just have really never stopped.
But it's interesting though, because you could have just been a coach for under someone else's practice, but you kind of paved your own path. So what led to that versus like being a coach at some other organization?
So I did coaching other organizations, and that really allowed me to develop my coaching techniques. I'd spent, years and years and years coaching hundreds of leaders. It's been a journey in the last 11 years since I got certified to be a coach. But I think the tipping point for me going into business for myself and being a true entrepreneur through and through is I kept realizing that the company I was working for was hiring, or we were getting hired by companies that weren't values-based. They didn't really care about great leadership. They didn't always care about treating their employees well. Everybody cares about making money. And I get that. I care about making money too. But for me, the best kind of coaching and professional development comes when the CEO or the president really cares about what's going to happen to those people. When the people who are being coached really care about furthering themselves as a professional or just as a human. And so the tipping point was I was doing some work. I was put on a project with a personal injury attorney. Now, if I ever get hit by a truck, I want these people to go and sue and get me millions of dollars, okay? Because I feel like I get that, right? That's part of the equilibrium of the universe. But this guy that we were working for was bigoted, racist, sexist, homophobic. It was like the worst type of person to work for. And when I talked to our senior partner about it, he was just like, well, you can speak up and say something. I'm like, yeah, I know, but you're the boss. Like, come on, man. Like, we can't work for a guy like this. But he was helping to pay the bills. And I just thought, you know what? This isn't worth it. I only want to work with people who want to win, people who like have values and morals and standards, and they give a shit about people. That's who I want to work with. And so it was a very easy decision after that. And I haven't looked back. And it's really meant that I have a client base of people that I am so excited to talk through their problems, help them solve things, because they're in it for all the right reasons.
Yeah. So it sounds like a huge determining factor is being able to choose who you want to work with. And so I'm so curious, like, who are the people kind of coming up to you, asking to work with you, and how do they kind of find you? Let's talk about the marketing side.
So the marketing side is the most organic thing possible. And I think a lot of people don't believe me, but I'm going to preach, Kevin, a little bit, because I spend a lot of time staying in touch with cultivating my network, and not networking, but I'm going to call you 3 months from now and be like, dude, what are you doing? What's the next project? What's the next thing? Because I care about what you're doing. And I've spent time over the years cultivating networks like that, trying to do really great work for people. So when I went about 6 months before I went into business for myself, I called all these people and said, hey, just so you know, I'm launching in October, and this is what I'm going to do in 2022. This is what I'm doing. And everyone's like, great, cool. We'll call you in October, November, December. We'll get you on the books. And that's exactly what happened. Then you do great work for people, help them achieve their goals or their profitability, whatever it is that they're trying to do. And so the next time someone says, hey, I was thinking about getting a coach, or who does your leadership retreats? They go, call Catie, just call Catie. So like, I put stuff out on social media. I put things on LinkedIn. I do a lot of writing, a lot of speaking, but the majority of like 99% of the people that I work with came in as a referral from somebody else. They're like, you don't know Catie, but you need to know her. And then it turns into something, and it just kind of goes from there.
I love it. Something I just get from your whole vibe and your stories is like, you're really, I don't want to call you a cheerleader, but like you definitely really, there's this nurturing part where you definitely care a lot about people. And that's kind of like really benefited you over these years. I love that. So people are raising their hands. They're just like, hey, I want to work with Catie. When people do decide to work with you, what does coaching engagement look like? It sounds like it's mostly one-on-one, but do you do other things like group trainings or organizational trainings and stuff?
I do all of that. So yeah, I do it. I would say 80% of the work that I do is one-on-one with leaders. Then, I don't know, probably 15% is working with executive teams. And that could be doing a retreat, doing like quarterly offsites, helping them with their strategic planning. And then the rest of it is it's public speaking. Sometimes it's a one-off training. I know I don't do consulting anymore just because I spent most of my career doing consulting. So now I'm just doing the stuff that I think is going to have the biggest and highest impact for the people that I work for. And usually the people that I work with, Kevin, are ones who are ultra competitive. They want to win. They're not just trying to like keep the lights on. Like these are people who are trying to advance their industry. They're trying to build the next generation of leaders in their business. They're trying to figure out how to compete via their culture in a time where that's really hard to do for a lot of companies, and ones that want to invest in that. So not just ones that say, we want to have a great culture, but ones that say, we'll do anything it takes to take care of our people and to deliver on whatever they're supposed to be doing for their customers or their end users. And so, yeah, I work with people who are intense, competitive. Usually they're on the precipice of getting promoted, on stepping into a new role. They're buying a company, they're selling a company, they're merging with another one. They are going to double or triple their business in the next 2 to 3 years. So I'm working with people who are like in it, like hard, but they also want to do it in a way that is emotionally intelligent, that's taking care of people, that is like really building something that's going to last, not just building something that's going to make money. And
I'm kind of curious, like for the people who are coming to you, what are kind of the problems that they're facing? Yeah, like what are some of the symptoms, I guess?
Kevin, it's like, it'd be easier if you said, what aren't they facing? Because the list is really long. But I mean that very sincerely, but like most times people come to me and they say, hey, I want to get to this next level, or I want to bring my company to the next level. And I'm like, great, that's going to be an end result of whatever we do. But as you know, I do a lot of work around emotional intelligence. I'm writing a book about emotional intelligence. Like I teach a lot about it because the emotional part of our lives are really what dictate the outcomes and the results that we get, even though people don't think of it that way. So people go, yeah, you know about EQ, you do that EQ stuff. And they go, but I really want to know, how do I build my team up? Or I want to know, how do I get to this next level? What they come in with is disagreements with coworkers, inability to really influence and lead their team effectively. They have a hard time managing their emotions. They have a hard time understanding why they're not connecting with the people that they really need to. Not understanding why they can't communicate with a customer or a client in a way that gets that person to buy more or deepen their relationship. And so when they come in, they're talking about, I want to hit something around profitability, or I want to do something with my team. But the reality is they've got some work that they need to do on themselves to show up in a bigger, more authentic, and also just evolve how they think and how they feel and how they treat people. And that's what I'm really doing, even though that's not what they come in usually asking for. At the end of it though, Kevin, they get exactly what they're asking for at the beginning, but like the method and how I work with people is a little bit, it's not intuitive to them, but it's very intuitive to me that that's what they need.
Yeah, I find that true in all different domains, right? Like what people think that they need isn't what they actually need, but like they need something else. But it's very interesting how you're able to have that transformation for people. And so like your coaching process, right? What do you feel like your secret sauce to that transformation is? Like you're doing these like one-on-ones, you're meeting with these people. Like what happens? What are some things that happen during these calls, I guess?
So there's process. I would say any coach who's listening to this would say, oh, I follow the same process. You know, we do assessments and a 360 and we get data on how this person's showing up. Oftentimes I don't live in the same geography as my coaching clients. So I go and I fly to them and I spend days with them, like Nat Geo style, hanging out and sitting in every single every meeting, unless they're going to the restroom, we are in every one-on-one, every connection with their boss, every connection with a customer or client and with their team. Because I want to see exactly how they're showing up. It's great to hear when we're on a Zoom, them telling me about what's going on. It's even better when I can see it happen in real time. So I always spend time with them in person, but essentially, we don't usually spend time with people in our lives who are going to pick apart our communication, our words, and who are going to stop us in our tracks and say, wait a minute, hang on, let's roll back the tape and let's just think about what you just said. We don't usually, unless we're within a very intimate relationship, we don't invite people into our lives where we want to be challenged. Like we say, yeah, I want to be challenged and I want to grow, but it doesn't feel comfortable to have somebody say, I don't know, Kevin, hang on, listen to yourself. Let me play back what you just said to me, which is going to put you back on your heels. And now you're going to have to listen. And now you're going to have to sort of drop into yourself and say, is this really the best version of Kevin that should be showing up? Is that what I really think? And so having somebody who like be partnered with somebody or have a best friend who can do that, but it's pretty rare when you have somebody that can stop you in your tracks. You're willing to let them do that. And then you're willing to be challenged on, is there a different way of thinking? Is there a different reaction? Is there a different set of words I could be using? Is there a different thought pattern I could be having? And that's what I'm doing. But I'm doing it from a place, and people learn this over time, and most coaches I think achieve this. I am doing this from a place of like deep love and appreciation for these people. Like I care about them as a person because I want them to go and do the cool shit with their team. I want them to go and make more money. I want them to be better husbands and wives and partners and best friends and parents. Like I care about that. I care about that. The business stuff is the easy stuff. The hard stuff is like the human stuff. And that's what I care about. So every day, Kevin, I wake up in the morning, I look at all the people I get to work with, like you're number one on my day to day, but I'm just like, okay, how do I bless this person? How do I really hold space for them to be fully human? And then how do I help like shift a couple of things for them so they leave that place and go, oh, I hadn't thought of it that way. I didn't realize I was doing that. I didn't realize I was thinking that. I didn't realize I was feeling that or saying that. Like that's what I want, is I want those like little micro shifts. And over time, those micro shifts turn into something that I remember going to drinks with a former coaching client of mine and his wife. They were here. I'm based in San Antonio, Texas, and they were in town. And she said to me, I don't know what you did working with my husband, but he is not the same person that he was before you met him or before you guys started working together. And to me, that's like the biggest compliment. Like he's doing great at business. He's crushing it. But the idea that I could have influence into him being a better husband and father, their relationship is going to completely outlive their business life. They're going to be living into their 80s and 90s, and they're only in their 50s. Like they've got 40 years on the map. That's what I care about. Like that gets me excited. That's really the work that I'm doing. I'm doing work to help people in their business and to be better leaders all day, every day. That residual effect is like better humans.
Yeah, it's interesting because as you're speaking, I'm reflecting on the coaching business that I had where I was helping people with high ticket sales, right? And I don't take the whole like bro approach of high ticket sales, of manipulating, convincing, and being a smooth talker, right? I'm really big on communication, EQ, very similar skill sets to what you're alluding to as well.
Right.
And something I noticed too was like the most rewarding part. It was cool seeing them make money and stuff and like all that. But the better part was like, oh yeah, they're having better relationships with their partners. They're repairing their relationships, having those conversations with their estranged mom or dad and stuff. And I think about how impactful and meaningful that is to people, and it really changes lives. With that being said, I think about, it sounds like what you're doing is pretty intimate. And so like, how do you make sure that your cup is full? How do you manage your client capacity? Yeah, I would love to kind of hear that.
Oh, that's a great question. And this is something that I have been refining for years, because when I worked for someone else, they would just say like, how many more people can you talk to? And I was actually thinking about this the other day. It's so funny that you asked this question because I used to have a day where it was just like back to back to back to back to back people. So it'd be like 8 hours coaching people. And so for them, it's 1 hour. For me, it's 8 hours of like pouring into people. So now I do make sure I'm building in as much like space as possible in between sessions just so I can breathe. One of the things that I recommend for all leaders to do, but I am like super disciplined about this, is I make sure that I'm doing other practices like going to the chiropractor, getting therapeutic massages. I'm going to Reiki on Friday morning. Like I'm doing everything I possibly can to make sure that like the energy that I have is like good and clean and balanced and I'm ready to be in receive mode. I'm just coming off of doing 2 very intensive retreats in the past like 6 weeks. I got a lot of people's stuff all here in addition to my own stuff. So it needs to go somewhere. So I'm very mindful of that. I have, and then other things I do like on the daily meditation practice. I routinely journal just to get the emotional stuff out. So I teach all of this stuff. So I have to like take my own medicine. But whatever I can be doing to move the emotional stuff through, because I don't want to hang on to something that doesn't belong to me and I need to process my own stuff. So it's a little bit of that. It's just making sure that I'm always having enough to be able to give to somebody else. But as you said, I'm constantly trying to refill my cup too. So it's just like this cycle that keeps going.
I love how you, I know journaling and all that is like super important, but one thing I love that you do is the physical modalities as well. And there's that book, like The Body Keeps Score and stuff. I love those.
It's right there on my shelf. Yes.
Mine is right across the room, like literally across the room. I need to walk across to grab it. But yeah, I love how you're just like so aware of the energy and you have that space to recharge and whatnot too. By the way, have you tried acupuncture at all? Like, a big acupuncture?
No, I'll do. I'm like, I'll do everything. The one thing that I'm dying to do is go to like, I've seen this in San Francisco, in New York. I don't know that we have anybody in San Antonio who does this, but like going to like a Chinese herbalist and having somebody like say, oh, here's the stuff that's off. Here's the stuff you need to do. Like, here's the tea, and have them put it all together and put me on a regimen. I would love to do that. That would be awesome. But the body keeps the score. When I was reading that, I was researching something for a client, but it unlocked something for me. There was a passage in there about how we heal from trauma, but how we continually heal ourselves. And there's 2 ways. And like I've connected this now to EQ. It's top down and bottom up. So top down is the cerebral stuff, right? What we think about, it's journaling, it's coaching, it's therapy, it's those kinds of things. And then bottom up is how we feed ourselves, how we move our body, and then how we have outside influences like going to a stretch lab, getting acupuncture, acupressure, chiropractic care, therapeutic massages, like all of those things of having people work on our physical being is so important. And so when I talk about like people go, how do you improve your empathy? I'm like, well, you might need to get acupuncture. And they go, what? Yeah, you might need to. Or how do you improve your stress tolerance or your ability to manage your impulses? It might be that you need to listen to different music or watch different or consume different movies and television. Or it might mean that you should not just go back to the gym, but like you should run with intention or walk with intention or do a specific type of yoga that unlocks that thing for you. So, yeah.
Yeah. Something I've observed, because I train with a lot of MMA fighters, I'm a jiu-jitsu guy and stuff. And so the people top like that are world class, I'm very fortunate in training with these people, but they take care of their body and stuff. And as a result, like as them taking care of their body, their mindset is so strong. I mean, you have to go dark places sometimes, do a lot of shadow work to be like, I'm gonna let my arm break. I'll do anything it takes to win this. I'm like, ooh, this is really, really interesting. But they're very regimented about their self-care and stuff. Yep. And it's kind of crazy. Acupuncture, you might think like, oh yeah, they're just like sticking needles into you. But after your first session, you realize, oh, if you've been working a lot, you realize how tired you are and how much you need to rest. So I love that. I love that you brought that up as well. So yeah, something I am curious about, your future goals. So you've been in this game for quite a while. And so I guess where do you want this coaching business to take you in the next few years? Do you have like desires to scale? Do you want to hire more? Do you have secret dreams no one knows about? Would love to hear all about that.
Well, yes, I have all of those things. There's a couple of things. In the short term, I'm working working with some amazing, amazing clients right now who are growing and expanding. And they're like, we want more. There's only so many hours in the day. There's only so much Catie that can go around. And there's probably only so much Catie that should go around. My mom's going to be listening to this and she would agree with that statement. So it's bringing people. I have some amazing friends and colleagues, former colleagues where we worked in companies or organizations together that I'm teaming with them. I'm like, there's so much work to go around. There's so many people, companies are looking for development. So it's building the team sort of that way of just introducing my peers who are exceptional coaches. Some of them are way better coaches than I am into the businesses where I'm currently working. So that's one. The second is I've been in the process of writing a book about emotional intelligence for about a year and a half, 2 years. And I'm writing the book not because, actually I should say it differently. I'm writing the book because there's a lot of information about EQ that's out there, but nobody talks about how do I get better at this. So we know that it's from all of the research that it's a skill that can be developed. And nobody tells you how to develop a skill. So like I will be in a leadership session with somebody or a seminar and people go, how do I get empathy? How do I do the empathy? Like, well, I don't have enough. I have a deficit here. How do I get that? How do I get more emotional self-awareness? How do I be more emotionally expressive? Nobody is talking about how to do that. And so what I want to do is sort of like cull all of this research I've been doing for 15 years and tell people that. I'm like, here's the blueprint. This is what you need to do. And it's not because I say that it's the right thing to do. I mean, I've seen it work for people. So I have all the data and proof points from coaching leaders and people for over 25 years. But most importantly is this stuff is evidence-based. It's research-backed. Like that's super important to me. This isn't Catie's opinion. This is the opinion of academic and professionals all over the world. So I want to bring that. I want to change. Like we had the first book about emotional intelligence from Daniel Goleman like 30 years ago. And not a lot that has anything more than puddle depth has been published since then. And I want to change that. I want to change how we talk about it. I want to change how people care about it. And look, Kevin, I'll tell you, it is very common for me to start working with a coaching client and they know I do all the EQ stuff and they'll go, I'm an emotional robot, or I compartmentalize my emotions, or I don't bring that part of me to work. And I want to change that narrative for them because when they start showing up more fully and present and emotionally intelligent and emotionally full at work, their teams love them. Their profits go like this, hockey stick results. That's what everybody wants. And they say, well, how do I get that? And I go, show up as a full human, show up as an emotionally intelligent full human. I can teach you how to do that. So I want to write a book and get that out there, do a TED Talk, do whatever I can to have more people go, oh, that's what I should be doing, then go do it with their teams. That's the goal. That is like, it is a semi-secret because like anybody who knows me, now your audience will know, that's what I want to do. But that's the whole point of this is if I know this, same as 4-year-old Catie, if I know how to do this, I want you to know how to do it. And then I want you to go do it for yourself and for your teams.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that because I consume a lot of this content too, right? And so I kind of know the thought leaders out there, but sometimes EQ gets a really bad rap because sometimes people talk about it through the lens of it's very esoteric. It's very like intangible. So people are like, I don't know how, like what this is and stuff. And I loved your approach of like, hey, let's make it more relatable to people. Let's base it, like do some evidence-based type of stuff. Start there. It's kind of like how Joe Dispenza kind of like started with the whole neuroscience thing to lead people into, the spirituality and all that sort of stuff too.
That's right.
Outline, but
that's it. I just want to make it so that it's tangible. You totally get it, Kevin. You totally get it.
I love that. Let me just write one thing. Okay. As you're headed toward these goals too, one of the things I think about, we could label them as challenges, but I like to think of them as growing pains. And so are there any growing pains that you're noticing in this season of your coaching business right now? Anything unexpected?
It's not on the coaching business side of things, although I do feel the stress and the pain that a lot of people are going through at the moment. And all of the things that we kind of deal with on a societal level shows up in individual people in business. So whether it's a geography that people are in and there's like social unrest there, or it's an industry that someone's working in is feeling the squeeze. I feel all of that with people. So it's less about my specific business and it's more about sort of holding space for what's happening in other people's businesses. What's been interesting about the process of publishing a book is it's a very old industry that is been in some ways upended by Amazon and being able to self-publish and that sort of thing. But the old industry is very, very sure of themselves. They're like, if you're not a CEO or you don't have a PhD or you don't have a massive platform, we're really not interested in what you have to say. So it doesn't matter how smart you are or how well thought out or researched whatever it is that you want to write about is. They don't care. They care about making money. And so it's been a very like a jagged little pill to swallow. And then at the same time, I'm like, okay, fine, I'll play the game, because it's more important to me that people can understand, going from your word, the esoteric version of EQ, to saying, oh, this is how I can apply it to my real life. Cool. And I want that to change schools and churches and communities and businesses and industries. So I'm gonna play the game, Kevin. I will do whatever it takes to make sure that I can get something that gets out to the wide world, because I think that's what I'm supposed to be doing. But it's hard. It's a lot harder than I thought it would be.
What do you feel like the hard part about it is?
Because there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of people, and I know you understand this because we're in the same sort of business. There's a lot of people that call themselves coaches and they're not. There's a lot of people who call themselves experts and they're not. There's a lot of people who can get famous really fast. I mean, social media is interesting in that way, right? You can gain notoriety, but there's a lot of people who gain notoriety and then we find out in months or years that they have nothing to offer, or they are, a wolf in sheep's clothing. And so you're competing against that. I meet people all the time that go, you're a life coach? I'm like, well, no, I'm a leadership coach and a business coach, but people's real lives come into coaching. So they're like, so you're a life coach? I'm like, I'm not a life coach. Like, no, that is a different kind of coaching. Like, that's not what we're doing here. It's a necessary thing. And people gain a ton from life coaches, especially the ones that know what they're doing. Yeah. But there's a lot of people out there masquerading as experts and leaders in their field, and they should not be doing that. And so it's hard. You got to figure out how to differentiate yourself with all these folks. And so, yeah, it's work and it's strategy. And fortunately, I have a team of people who are believers in what I want to share with the world. And so they're willing to figure out, like, how do we crack that code? Kevin, like, if you don't have something about you that is like insanely distinct, it's really hard to cut through the noise. And it is what it is.
Last question for you.
Okay.
How can people find you and connect with you, Catie?
Yeah. So I am launching the next version of my website. It's catiecampbell.com. I am on Instagram and TikTok at the Catie Campbell, Coach Catie Campbell. It's both on there. I'll give you all the links so you have them all. I'm on socials all the time because that's where most people are consuming information. I also have a podcast with a girlfriend of mine, Whitney Siders. It's called Corporate Baggage, where we just basically like dog on corporate America because we think it's garbage and we want to fix it. Like, we want to like inform leaders and people of like leaders how to fix things and people how to stand up for themselves within corporate America. And then I'm launching a podcast early next year too, where I'm just talking to some of the most exceptional leaders that I've had the fortune to meet or work with to gain some more of their leadership insights. And all of these people are, they're emotionally intelligent, and they're also people who have built and sold and are continuing to grow amazing companies and organizations. So I'll make sure you have all the links for your listeners to be able to access me.
Catie, there was like one phrase that I came up with. I always like to kind of think about like a summary of like, the guests that come on. And the thing that I wrote down was like EQ for everyday people. And throughout our conversation, you can use that as a tagline.
I might use it as a tagline, Kevin.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's just how my brain works. I was just like, ooh, what's something that describes Catie? And the reason why I said that was because, the way, of course, there's some kind of like, I can sense there probably is an esoteric side of you, but one of the things I love about you is that you lead with like the things that are relatable to every single day people. And both you and I know that these EQ skills are so important for leadership, for influencing, for, I think a lot of like left hemisphere people, they focus on, hey, just transfer the information, but they don't realize like, oh, it's how you deliver the information, how you package things. The best example I think about is like those Christmas unwrapping videos where they have that secret iPhone in like the bottom, in the middle box. Opening box after box is way more exciting than just giving someone, hey, here's an iPhone and whatnot too, which is, both are pretty cool, but it's the way that you communicate too, which is so great.
I'm getting I'm getting my daughter a new phone for Christmas, and you just gave me a great idea, so thank you.
Hopefully she doesn't watch this podcast and I didn't blow the surprise.
I have very normal teenage kids who ignore the majority of the things that their mom does. So it's all good, Kevin.
Catie, this is just a really long way of saying, hey, I appreciate your work. Your work definitely matters. I can't wait to see what you do, like with the future of your business and stuff, and the launch with your book and all that. I can't wait to read it. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thank you for sharing your experience here, and I appreciate you, Catie.
Kevin, I'm honored. Thank you for sharing your platform with me today. And yeah, I look forward to getting to do some cool stuff with you in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.